Can I manifest an SP by just working on self-concept? Yeah. Like, yeah, that's like most of it anyways. Like if you're like, if you know you're like loved, wanted, and chosen literally by anybody, like you always get everybody that you want, everybody always comes back, people can't stay away from you, then that will like reflect with SP. So yeah, it's more just like people will do the, like if they do focus on their SP, it's more just to like either reinforce that for them, or fix the story about the SP if they don't have a good one. But other than that, you don't really need to. Like, hi Bree. Anyways, I'm so mad because I was in the middle of answering somebody else's question, and then they discontinued my live, and I was so mad. Like, okay, why don't they just, if you want to make a TikTok, why don't you just verify your age first instead of somebody being in the middle of live and then you discontinue it? Hey Ross, do you recommend robotic affirmations? I recommend you try like whatever you're interested in, and if you don't don't like doing them, then I don't recommend anything you don't like doing. But any technique, I'm never like don't do a technique, you know what I mean? It's just like if you guys were like, well, I don't really like it, or I don't really know, or like I've been doing it for like 2 years, and I'm like, okay, well maybe the technique isn't for you. But in a general sense, yeah, why not? Hey, you're such a great YouTuber. I love your videos. You're so knowledgeable. Thank you. Yeah, try it. Let me know how it works for you. And yeah, if you like it, keep going. Happy Sunday, everybody. Hey, all love. Hey, Aaliyah. How's everybody doing this fine Sunday? The day of our Lord. Hey, Manon. Hey, user. Anyways, yeah. I have to take down that story on TikTok because now I'm live, but I'm at work. Period. Get a bag and strengthen your knowledge about manifestation as you should. Hey, Gretchen. As you should. A lot of people do that. They're like, oh, I'm at work, but I'm like listening to you, or I'm like, I'm watching your video. I'm like, oh, that's so cute. So cute. Hey, Elle. Anyways, thanks for 1K. Damn, we just started. Hi, Sela. Hey, living life on Mars. What was the question you were trying to answer in the last live? I don't remember, because I wasn't thinking like, oh, I should memorize this question because they're gonna discontinue my live. I really wish I knew. Hi, Iconic Haze. I really wish I knew. I don't know. I think it might have been that one, that African, what was it, Queen, that just asked, because she was like, can I just work on self-concept without specifically focusing on my SP, and like will that manifest them? I think that may have been the question. I just really don't even remember. Like I don't remember what I was talking about. How to stop wavering because I want my ex back, but also not because of the way he is acting, but I know it's because of me and I created it. Okay, well, it's good that you know that, you know, your story, you saying he's this way is why he's showing up that way. I think what I say, because we talked about this a little bit yesterday about like kind of having like bitterness, resentment, anger, like whatever it is against your SP, and it's understanding that if you're changing, as much as you change is as much as reality changes, including your person. So it's like the version of you who like was receiving whatever treatment from your SP, obviously it like matched some type of like identification within you, or like, oh, like this is normal, like it's normal for, whether it's in love in general or just for your specific person, like, oh, it's normal for him to show up this way and do this to me, and then we have these problems, like this is normal for us. So then you kind of just like kept recreating it. But like if that's not you anymore, right, if you're like, oh, whatever we were going through, like that's not normal and I don't want that and I don't want to keep recreating that, as long as you change, then he cannot show up that way. So it's also like you you shouldn't want the version of him that like wasn't being correct to you. But it's also understanding if you're also not the version of you who like accepts that, that's normal too, puts up with that, then he will not be that person as well. So it's good that you don't want that version of him. Like, there's nothing to waver about, because you're saying, I don't want that old version of him, which is good because you're not that old version of you. I want this new version of him. Period. They're not the same. They're not the same person. They're not the same version. That's not the same reality, right? Period. Because that old version of him obviously showed you that he's not capable of doing whatever you want him to do now. So with that being said, that's what it is. It's like you're not seeing it as the bad version of him is going to come in again, and then I'm like, oh, I don't want that. No, whatever you don't want will not be in your reality, and whatever you want will be in your reality. It's two different versions of him because you're a different version of you. So reality follows as much as you change. So stick to the new version, not the old one. Okay. Do live stop when you hit a certain button, or does it do a countdown? No, that's not why it ended. It ended because they said I was under 18 and you're not allowed to be live if you're under 18, which I'm not. So and I don't know like where that came from because I've been live like every day. So I don't know why they said that. They don't have live doesn't have a like a whatchamacallit. It doesn't have a time limit, and it doesn't have, I don't know if Instagram still has that. I remember like when Instagram first started live, you could only be live for like, I think it was an hour or like an hour and a half, and then it would start counting down, and that was like the weirdest thing. I don't know why they did that, but it has a button you can end, but it's like if you click it, it hits like, are you sure? Like, it's not like you click it and then it ends. It's like a confirmation of it. They ended it because they were like, you're not allowed to be live under 18. So I don't know where that came from, because then if you get to be live, then they should ask you to verify, because they've never done that. I think they did that once when I first started going live, but I don't know why they just did that today. Like, just being annoying. Anyways, my question is, are affirmations our thoughts and we're always affirming, or is affirming just a technique? Okay. So your thoughts are affirmations, right? Like, if you're like, oh my God, even if you're not consciously thinking, if you're like, oh my God, like, I'm so broke, right? Affirmation, boom. But to consciously affirm is a technique. You know what I mean? Like, if you're like, okay, I'm going to make myself think in my favor, then you're technique affirming, because you're always thinking, right? But if you're like, for example, like some people are like, I don't like affirmations as a technique, but I visualize. But they're still thinking anyways. But it's more like, for example, if before you knew about LOA and you were like affirming to yourself, or thinking to yourself, I should say, like, oh my God, I'm so broke, blah, blah, blah. That was because it matched your self-concept / identity. Like, you view yourself as a broke person, and the thoughts you have just represent who you think you are. So it's like, if you change your self-identity to be something, you'll naturally have thoughts / unconscious affirmations in your favor anyways. But to say, I'm going to sit down and say these sentences, that's affirming as a technique. So to answer your question, affirmations, your thoughts are affirmations, but affirming is its own technique. Right? Does that make sense? I hope so. My SP is back for good. Period. Trying. Okay, so a lot of people are talking about 3D and triggers. So somebody said trying to affirm, but the 3D still triggers me and it causes me to spiral. And then Gretchen said, I want to ignore the 3D, but it's my trigger. All right, so if we know, well, okay, let's get into what 3D is. So 3D is old, or sometimes current, thought patterns materialized. So basically, if you're saying you're triggered by your 3D, you're saying, I'm being triggered by my mindset. I'm being triggered by my old thoughts. I'm being triggered by XYZ, which is why we say you control your 3D, your physical reality, is because your thoughts aren't permanent, right? Like, we can change our thoughts all the time, right? We're never stuck thinking the same thing, right? So what is triggering you about your old thoughts is the question, especially if you know that that you're in control and can change them. Because, for example, I understand circumstances can suck. Like, I'm not saying like, oh, like, why are you upset about a bad circumstance? It's just more so, for example, if you're wearing a shirt, okay, and then you spill sauce on your shirt, right? Spilling sauce on your shirt sucks, right? Like, we don't like that. We're like, oh my God, like, now this is gonna be my shirt. I have to walk around, like, whatever. But for to say like, oh my God, every single thing in 3D, like, I literally can't, like, I literally am going to explode. It's like the equivalent of saying, okay, I spilled sauce on my shirt, and you're like upset as if you don't have a washer and dryer at home. Like, it's not like the thing is permanent. Like, the stain, the circumstance itself can suck, but you're not gonna like explode over it because it's not permanent. So it's the equivalent of like, there's this kind of like detachment slash not being triggered in it because it's not permanent. Whether it's right now, whatever. I mean, whether it's for the rest of this event that I have to walk around with a shirt like this, like the shirt isn't permanently stuck like this. I'm just seeing it right now. So it's more like, it's not necessarily ignoring if something is like bad, but it's like, again, that aspect of, okay, I know my focus creates. I know that nothing's permanent. You gotta learn to laugh at 3D. Like, okay, SP is, here's a third party. That's funny, girl. I'm number one, not you. You're gonna be gone. Can't wait to know, can't wait to hear that you're gone. Whatever. Like, basically, yeah. So, as far as affirming, right? We're affirming so that because the person said trying to affirm, but 3D so it triggers and it causes me to spiral. So if your focus is what is creating, then you're affirming to change your focus, not to sit here and reaffirm that 3D isn't what you want and then try to like change 3D and you're like, well, 3D isn't changing, so I'm triggered. That's why it's to change your focus, to change your story, to change your dialogue, so that it's not 3D. It's what I want. It's what I want. It's what I want. You're welcome, Emily. What do you think of angel numbers? I think they're cute little reminders. Like, I love seeing it. Like, literally, like, when I restarted this live, I was like so annoyed. I was like, I don't know. I was mad. And I was like, it's not even a big deal because I'm about to go live again, but it was just like really annoying. And then it was like 333, like the time when I like was about to hit start, and I was like, that's my cue to calm down. I was like, I just felt lighter. I was like, okay, like, I'm divinely protected, guided, whatever. I was like, exactly. Like, whenever I see an angel number, depending on like what I'm going through or what I'm thinking, sometimes it's just my cue to like, it's just a game, right? Like, it's not in the grand scheme of things. Like, I'm not gonna die because I have to restart my life. You know what I mean? So it just helps me like, okay, like I'm in the flow. Yeah. Yeah. What's your definition of state of being when it comes to manifesting? State of being is, to me, when you're in the state, there's a lot of definitions and stuff you're gonna hear, but the best way I would describe it is when your thoughts and feelings match. So what I mean by that is you're thinking, there is no resistance between you and the story that you want to the new story. So basically, when I say thoughts and feelings, well, number one, obviously, when the thoughts, like, that's why we do the affirmations, do the sleep tapes, do the inner conversations, like, do what we can to change your thoughts. And then when I say feelings, is because some people will change their thoughts but still have this like energetical emotional reaction to their old reality. That's why the person earlier was like, oh, like, I say my affirmations, but I still get triggered by 3D. Triggered is an emotional reaction to it, which is why I preach nervous system regulation, because when you can regulate your nervous system, you're removing that emotional attachment that you have to a certain reality that looks a certain way. And when you're no longer connected to that reality energetically or emotionally, and you're in a neutral place, then when you start affirming or doing your technique for in the new story, you're at a neutral place. So it's really up for interpretation. So if you're no longer reacting or feel like, oh damn, like SP did this, and you're no longer like triggered, having an anxiety, whatever, and you're just like, okay, then you're able to tell the new story and you'll be like, okay, new story. Okay, they are obsessed with me. You know what? You're like, you know what? They are. You know what? I don't want that reality no more. You know what? They are. So then you're able to match it because There's no resistance towards your feelings towards what you're saying. You're no longer like, I'm saying this, but I don't feel it. Or it's no longer, I feel this, but what I'm saying is like the contradict. It's like it matches. And you're like, you're in that state. You're able to identify with that thing. You're like, yes, this is true for me. Emily said, do you have a manifesting routine? She's live again. Yeah, I'm back, y'all. I don't know about routine. Like, so what did I do this morning? I did mirror work. Or was that last night? But I don't remember. But definitely, I do certain things I do every day. But like, I don't have like so mirror work because I'm in front of a mirror every day. My affirmations. I have to get back into visualization, like my little visuals, because I actually really like them. Like sometimes affirmations is just like, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. It's like, I like visuals. I like to see it. I'm just like, okay. Like, I'm so grateful for imagination and like being able to see it, because sometimes that's what calms me down. Like sometimes affirmations aren't enough. Sometimes I need to see this so that I can like see that reality, because saying these affirmations is just like, I need to see it. So then I go on my visuals and then it's like, all right, I'm calm. Yeah, that makes sense, and I love how you explained it. Thank you. Ross, what are you talking about? Isn't where it's supposed to be. What are we talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. Trying to manifest becoming more beautiful, but whenever I see a pretty girl, I feel like crying. Literally, why? Number one is, okay, so then what are you doing it for? Do you want to be beautiful so that because when you say becoming more beautiful, it's like, what does that mean to you? Does that mean you think you're not and you have to look a certain way? Or is it, I'm just not at acceptance with who I am because you're beautiful regardless? Like if I came on here and said, guys, like I want to manifest becoming more beautiful, like I'm pretty sure you would say like, you already are. Like, girl, what are you talking about? So it's like, it's really a story that says you're not. It's not so much that you don't look a certain way. It's you're saying you're not, because I would say to you, like, you are. It's just your messed up stories that say you're not. So thank you, Drew. Hey. Okay. So then on top of that is, why do you feel threatened by somebody else? Like I was saying this to somebody yesterday, because they were like, I want to manifest being tall. And then I stand next to somebody taller than me. And then I'm like triggered, and I'm like, well, somebody else's height doesn't take away from yours. Because I was like, unless you want to be the tallest person in the world, you're still tall if there's people taller than you. You know what I mean? Like, I'm still an LOA YouTuber if there's other LOA YouTubers online. You know what I mean? Like, I'm still the best at my craft. So it's like, you're still beautiful just because there is somebody else. And also, what you recognize in other people is what you see in yourself, right? Like, beauty recognizes beauty. So if you're able to see that in somebody else, then it is within you, because you cannot recognize, right? Like I always say, you can't see reality higher than you see yourself. So if you're recognizing that in somebody else, it is you as well. People are just mirrors of you. You have to learn to, and I've had to learn this too over time, but like, you have to learn to appreciate somebody's beauty instead of getting like, oh my God, here's this person, they're gonna take the attention from me. It's like, you know what, sister, literally my sister, like, sister, thank you so much for showing me. I appreciate you. Like, I appreciate seeing a mirror of me. I love being surrounded by other people who remind me. When you see somebody else that is attractive, it's a reminder to you of what you are. I love seeing reminders of my beauty. And I love being able to recognize you for what you are, which is what I am, which is beautiful. Period. I woke up randomly with pain and I stopped it basically instantly. Thank you, Drew. I stopped it basically instantly because gods do not put up with that. Exactly. Hey, Jocelyn. Zach, what's in a good way? What are we talking about? No, it didn't notify me you were back. That's what I was like. That's what I was upset about. I was like, because when I was restarting it, I was like, ugh, like, what if the same people aren't? But you're here, so that's all that matters. How do I manifest a toxic person out of my life? Well, how would life be different if they weren't in it? How would you feel? You'd be like, oh my God, I'm free. I feel like I can breathe again. Well, are you having inner conversations with yourself? Are you saying things to yourself that infer they're here? Because if you don't want them to be here, change them. you can even say to yourself, oh, they're far away, they're doing their own thing, they're happy where they're at. I am living my life, doing what I want to do. Send them their little peace, send them their little love. And then remember, like, what's her face just said, all love was like, I woke up and then I had pain and I was like, gods don't have to deal with that. Exactly. Like, you don't have to deal with that. Like, get that in your mind. Like, me, opera and power, goddess, king, queen, whatever, god, whatever you want to be, whoever, whatever is, I don't have to deal with that. And it's like, also, it's like bare minimum. Like, nobody deserves toxic people in their life. So if I don't want you, you're gone. You're gone. I did that with my neighbor, like, literally, and like, I posted on Twitter if you guys follow me, but I had to manifest her way because she was doing a little bit too much for me. I mean, it wasn't even that dramatic. I wouldn't have minded if she just changed her behavior, but it just ended up her moving out. So I was like, oh, okay. Thank you for going live all the time. Hi, Hannah. I'm glad. I was listening to your podcast last night. Yay. A new episode comes out in like an hour or so. Yeah. Being self-regulated is super important. Thank you for answering. You're welcome. Is daydreaming to music the same as visualizing with the meditation? Yes, I consider it. Yeah. I like that better. Like, I love to put on a good song and, like, that makes me feel whatever it is. Rich, loved, successful, whatever, and just vibe. Oh, the message before. Wait, it's in the message before. Right where it isn't supposed to be. I don't see it. I see Rain Cloud's message, and then I don't see you unless. Wait. I don't see that first message. I don't know why it's not showing up. Okay. How do you stay consistent with being in the state? One day I'll be feeling good, but then I waver. Well, understanding that one day or a week or a moment of not feeling your best doesn't mess anything up. Like, I think that's one thing that a lot of people have to learn is there's nothing you can do to mess it up. Like, no matter what you say, do, feel, don't feel, you are always on the path to receive what you want. And then also it's recognizing that it's also a muscle. Like, if you've always been in a state of like not feeling good enough, or like always had that identity of yourself, like, and then you're like, okay, I want to start feeling good enough, it's like it makes sense to that to not be regular to you. So it's also like a muscle that you're constantly practicing. And then I would say, like, whatever makes you feel the best about that life, whether some people it's like visualizing, some people it's music, some people it's just taking a walk outside. Like, for me, I know that works for me for like regulating. It's just going outside and I'm like just seeing an abundance of like everything, whatever, and I'm like, okay, like, this, it's actually a lot, there's a lot more. It's not just like this one circumstance, this one moment. Like, the world is so huge and massive, you know what I mean? So like, I think it's to have like a game plan of something that whatever you use regularly to push you into that state, like, create an action plan. So for, okay, when I fall out, what is going to be my method to get back in, right? Is it like visualizing what I want? Is it reminding myself I'm the operant power? Is it reminding myself nobody has free will? Is it reminding myself that like all I have to do is just keep assuming? Is it reminding myself that I'm always on the path to get what I want? Like, whatever makes you feel, and whatever can push you back in the state, that's what I would say to do. My bestie says that my SP is manipulative and she doesn't trust him, also because he's Turk. Help. Anyways, I don't know what the second whatever you said he was, but it doesn't matter, because if it's not serving you, then it's irrelevant. But whatchamacallit? Well, is your best friend dating SP, or is your best friend with SP, or is it you? That's number one. So obviously they're not gonna know, nobody on this planet is gonna know your person the way you do, regardless. And also the story anybody has, whether it's of you, whether if it's somebody else, is a story that you have that they have, right? So you're saying, I have the story, you have the story that your friend sees SP this way. So if you don't want that to be true, then you change that narrative. Like, my bestie and my SP get along. Isn't that what you want? Like, don't you want, you have a good relationship with your best friend, you have a good relationship with your SP. They have a good relationship because they both want the best for you, which is for them to get along. They get along so well. And then on top of that is, do you even have a stable story about your SP? Because is it like your friend is saying this and then you're letting that control how your story of SP? Because now it's like, okay, I had the story of SP, but the story I have of my friend says that she sees SP this way, which is unfavorable. So now I have a new story of my SP that is unfavorable because the story I have of my friend is unfavorable. So basically, they're just all your stories, but you're just assigning them instead of you just being like, I secretly see SP as unfavorable, or I secretly see my best friend as not liking my SP. It's like you kind of go through the illusion of people are having their own stories, but you drag that because you already know that people are you pushed out. Like, you already know that. So that you already know that all you have to do is change that. So it's really asking yourself, is your conception of your specific person even stable? Because is that true for you? Because at the same time, I just feel like if it wasn't true, I mean, I don't know. That's why I asked you. But like, if it wasn't true, then what your best friend was saying wouldn't, you'd be like, what, girl? That doesn't make no sense. Because what are you asking? Like, you said help. Change. Okay. Okay, Roz said I'll send it again, and then I just see isn't where it's meant to be. Am I the only one who's not seeing the full sentence? All I see is isn't where it's meant to be, but I don't see anything before that. So either type it in one thing, because all I see is not where it's meant to be, and I feel like I don't know why I'm not seeing the rest. So yeah. How do I know movement is on the way? It's not on the way because it's not something you're waiting for. If you're waiting, because movement is a natural occurrence. Well, okay, 3D is a mirror. Okay. Wait, hold on. I'm gonna finish, but she said it's not showing. I typed in one thing and hit the limit. It split into two. The second part isn't what's meant to be. Yeah, so for some reason the first part is not showing up. So now just try typing in the first part and let's see. Hi Kaza. Okay, so back to Lana Del Rey. So so 3D is a reflection, right? So it's reflecting the same amount of movement that's going on within you. So that's why we say you have to be the change that you want to see, right? Because that just means as much as you put into yourself is how much you're going to get out. So first of all, and then also that already tells me, like, people that be asking about movement, like, I want to see movement. You know you want the full thing. You know you want the full, like if I was like, oh, like, would you rather have movement tonight or like your full thing in the next morning? You would say, give me the full thing. Like, I'll be chill, I'll be fine, I can wait. So it's also one of those things where it's like, that's also a self-concept issue where it's like, how do I know that 3D is going to show me? When is 3D going to give me a little sprinkle of what I want? Well, 3D is you. It's that separation aspect that is keeping you from receiving what you want. Because instead of you being the one to change your thoughts, you're saying, well, when is 3D going to give me a reason to change my thoughts? And that cannot happen because you control outside of you. Outside of you shouldn't be and is really not ever controlling inside of you. You may take narratives, you may let, like, okay, I saw this in 3D and I'm going to base my story based on that, but that is still your free will because your stories are never permanent. So basically, the world it moves and shows you as much as you give to yourself. So to know it is to know it for yourself. Like, do you think things are conforming or do you think things are stuck? I'm assuming if you're asking that question, it's because your stories are based on what 3D shows, but 3D only moves as much as you. So it's like, you're moving like this, like at turtle speed, because you're really not moving at all if you're basing your thoughts off what you're seeing, because what you're seeing is just your past thoughts materialize. So if it's well, you're saying no movement, so it's not moving at all, you're really not changing at all. So yeah. What are your favorite money affirmations? How do you manifest money in general? Okay, so I get paid to exist. I don't work for money. Money works for me. Abundance is my birthright. Money is the easiest thing to manifest. What else? What else? Those are like my top. I feel like my top five. And then just like, I don't know, like whatever. Like, I own this. I love having more money than this person. Like, name a rich person. I love having more money than them. My income triples every year, every month, every week, like whatever you want it to be. And it's the same thing as everything else. So it's really like what beliefs you have surrounding it. So a lot of people believe like they have to work hard, or they believe like it can only come through my job or the lottery, and then they block the other millions, trillions, billions of avenues that it can come through. So it's changing your beliefs around that, the ways it can receive, because as the creator, there are no limits on the ways that you can receive something. There literally is not, and there's not one set way you can get anything. Roz, it's still not showing up. So you're just going to have to DM me. And then I'm going to open my thing on my other device and then see it, because it's not showing up at all. I just keep seeing it's where it's meant to be. Isn't where it's meant to be. Anyways, so it's changing your, whatchamacallit? Changing how you think it operates, which it should always be in your favor. And then getting rid of any limits that, you say, oh, I can't have it because of this. I can't have it because of this. No, it should be, I have it because of this. Like, I have it because I'm in control. I get to have it because I'm a magnet to it. It's obsessed with me. That's why it comes to me. We have a great relationship. It always shows up for me, like whatever it is. And then you go from there. And then if you want to manifest it in general, you'll be like, okay, more is coming to me. Like, whatever you do, like if you have a business, you're like, oh my God, I'm getting more and more sales. Or if you just want it randomly, like people love throwing money at me. That's when I like money's always getting thrown at me, etc., etc., etc. But it's the same thing as anything else. Yeah, it's not showing up. Thanks, Kaza. Hi, Saray. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, Roz, I'm not seeing it. I don't know why it's not showing up. Or do other people see it and somebody else can type it? Because I don't know why it's not showing up on my phone. How do you actually manifest an SP? I don't know what actually means, but I don't know if it's like different from something else, but basically the way I teach anything, because it's all the same, is thin air or somebody you already know. Well, if it's somebody you already know, then it's the stories you have of that person, and also how you see how you see that person, and then how you see yourself. So basically, if it's somebody that you already know, the only reason you're not where you want to be with them is because you tell yourself, I'm not where I want to be with them. This is what's going on with them. They're not doing this. They're being this. They're not showing up like this. I'm not experiencing this with them. That's your story. But then that's also rooted from how you see yourself. Like, a lot of people don't see themselves as like they would ever pick them. They're wanted by them. They're chosen. They're adored. They blah 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 blah. So it's also like that's what also blocks you, because I'll be like, oh, like, like you guys are the operant power, you can have what you want, whatever, and then people are like, yeah, but they're doing this. And it's like, if your rebuttal to you being the operant power is they're not showing up how I want, you have an issue with yourself, like how you see yourself, the amount of control you have, because they're on the pedestal, you're down here. But you can never get up here if you're never changing yourself to be up here. So then after you do that, then You change stories of them by understanding they're you pushed out, meaning the stories you have of them is how you show up. People have these stories that say they're this, they're not doing this, they're this, they're not doing this, and it's like, well, yeah, and then that's why they're showing up that way, because that's the stories you have of them. So then from that point, you change stories of them to be what you want them to be. Now, when you're doing that, you are your own validation, because being in control means being your own validation. It's not, okay, well, I said this, but they're doing this. No, you're saying they're doing this. I don't care what you said 2 minutes ago. Right now, in this current moment, you're saying they're not favorable how I want them to be. So that's why I also said self-concept, because you need to have your own type of foundation. So then from that point, when you're the version of you who is accepting of this commitment, and they're the version of them that's accepting of this commitment, then from there you can create a new story of the dynamic. And then when you have that story and you're actually true to that assumption, it must materialize. Not, oh, but I don't know, because it's not materializing, and it's been this long, and when it's 3D, that's you here and your desire up here. It needs to be the opposite. So when it is the opposite, it must. So yeah. I sent a DM. Okay. Damn. Okay, you sent a lot. Okay. I'll read it in a minute. Okay. How do I get through a spiral and believe? Because I got so frustrated with no movement and results after months. Okay, so with a spiral, it's regulating, coming back here, and then no movement and results is the same thing I was saying to the person who was asking about getting movement earlier. It's moving as much as you. So I'm assuming for however long it's been, you've been secretly like tracking or saying to yourself, like, it's been this long, there's nothing, that's nothing. And that's contradicting to, I don't know if you're like, oh, I don't know if you're a live in the end type of person. Like, I don't know if you're a person that's like, oh, it's here. Like, oh, it's here. Like, I don't know if you're like, oh, it's here, whatever. Or you're like, oh, it will be, whatever. But regardless, it's like, that's contradicting to living in the end. Because you can't be like, well, it's been this long since I haven't had it, but I have it. It's like, that doesn't make any sense. So that's something you need to pay attention to if that's you. And then, okay. Okay, and then getting frustrated is also getting frustrated at 3D, which is just getting frustrated at your own thought patterns, which is just getting frustrated at your mindset, which is what you need to change. It's about you. Whatever manifestation, whatever, this whole journey, this whole lifetime, you're the only person, you're your longest relationship, you're the only, like, if reality is your thoughts, then you're only ever experiencing your own mind. So something in there has to change, not 3D. Something in you has to change. So you have to, like, it can't be so much, I want this, but I'm going to let 3D decide what I think, how I feel, how I act, and how I behave. It has to be, I want this. So the version of me that has this, what are they, what are their thoughts? What are their behaviors? What are their actions? What are their attitudes? And the bridge that you guys are gapping is that, like, the difference between me and who I would be, who I would truly be. Not asking, not wondering, not impatient, not spiraling. You're bridging that with so you're changing your thoughts, your behaviors, your attitudes, and your patterns to match that. Because when you are it, when you're in that state, when you're being whatever you want to call it, when you have that identity, when that's your conception of self, then that's when it manifests, because you're no longer conditioning who you are based on, this is 3D, so I can't be anything greater than my circumstances. You're being independent of what the past version of you created. So yeah. Basically, just be Delulu and act like they're here until it happens. Well, everybody has a different, I don't know, because everybody has a different definition of that, like what that means. But basically, it's not like, to me, I don't teach like, oh, it's not here, but just act like it is. Like, for me, it's like, how I understand it in my mind is, infinite realities are existing in this moment. Excuse me. And if you can, whatever you're convincing right now, whatever you want, like every desire that you have does not make sense to this current version of you, right? Like a lot of you guys want, I want this, I want this, I want this. But then you're like, but this, but this, but this. So it doesn't make sense to the current version of you because you are not going to be this current version of you who is experiencing that thing because it doesn't make sense. The version of you who is experiencing this thing, it makes sense too. And I always say this when you guys ask, thank you, Jocelyn. You guys are like, oh, like, what's your crazy manifestation? I had to normalize it. It wasn't like, oh my God, this is so crazy, I don't think I can have it, but it happened. I had to normalize it so that it made sense for me to receive it. Because when it makes sense, when it's your assumption, hi, Letitia, thank you. Then you're able to assume it and be, or whatever you call it, assume it, be in the state, and it manifests. So that's why I teach it from internal, because the only thing you're doing is making it make sense. Because, and that's also why I teach self-concept work, because if you know that you don't deserve, like, you deserve princess treatment, you only deserve the best treatment, you deserve this, you deserve that, you deserve that, then it's going to make sense to you that your specific person is not showing up any way but treating you that way. It's going to make sense to you that money isn't showing up any other way but showing up. You know, it's going to make sense to you that you have the clear skin if you're saying, like, I'm in control, or like my skin is clear, or whatever. You know what I mean? So my whatchamacallit, my like rhetoric I say isn't necessarily like acting like it's not here. It's you're becoming. It's more like a becoming the person, because it must be that way, right? You don't get desires for no reason. And then yeah. Okay, so Roz, I want to read your DM now. Okay. I've been trying to say that I've been working on self-concept for over this 2-week break. I've had off of school and I go back this Tuesday. Do you want me to read the whole thing? Or should I just read it to myself and then answer? Okay, so I've been feeling nervous about going back to CSP, which makes me feel like my self-concept isn't where it should be about SP. I've been feeling more favorable thoughts due to working on self-concept, but sometimes I'll get an unfavorable thought based on one past circumstance, which I know doesn't matter after everything you've said, but I don't know how to get myself to fully believe in that. Like, I understand why it doesn't matter, but sometimes my mind is just thinking about it and I begin to spiral and making me feel like, man, okay. So, okay, wait. Okay. So, what I would say is, when you are, when you say you work on self-concept, you've been working on self-concept, is that including your conception of your SP? Because if you're like, okay, you know you're in control, right? You know you control whatever. All right, you've been saying, all right, you said you worked on it, so now you're able to have more favorable thoughts about it, but it's still not where you want it to be, right? So with that being said, do you know that SPs, well, okay, I'm assuming you're here all the time, so you know that SPs you pushed out, but like, do you know that? Do you believe that to be true for you? Because then, if you know that to be true, then there is no separation. Because right now, all I'm seeing is separation between you and your specific person. So it's also, so that's number one. And then on top of that, when you're not seeing the separation, it's also, what is your concept of them? Because if we're scared to go and see them, then it's like you're thinking they're not me pushed out. They're just gonna show up whatever, and it might, because there is no such thing as a future. You're just imagining worst case scenario based on the conception of stuff that they're making you feel. Because a lot of people, they're like, oh, I have a good self-concept, but like SP, I get triggered, whatever. So it's like the self-concept you have in relation to SP, and then the one you have about SP, that could be where you need to focus. It's like, they're not above you, they're not a robot, they're not God. They are your stories of them. So why, also ask yourself, okay, if I'm not even in the situation in this present moment where I'm seeing them, why am I assuming the worst for myself? Like, especially if you're like, oh, I've been doing the work on myself. Okay, well, now this is the time for you to really see that. Have you been doing the work on yourself? And then now it's like, why are you not assuming best case scenario? Like, what if it could turn out better than you imagine? Why is it not, okay, thought transmission, hope you know that by now too, is 100% real. And whatever you've been saying, they are receiving. So with that being said, it's really, whatchamacallit, it's really, you know, why is this like, why are you scared to see your specific person? Because if you're living in the end and you're with them, right, you'd be excited to see them, right? Because we're entering that version of ourselves, not the low self-concept version who's like, I can't see them because this and this and this. It's okay, they're me pushed out, I've changed the stories, I know I deserve the best version of them, I know that they're giving it to me because I'm not accepting anything else. I'm going to see them, it's going to be a good time. And then what else did you say? Okay, and then also, okay, so you said past circumstances, one thing happened that's triggered you. Again, that's just your story. They change as much as you do. So how much does the past really matter, right? Not at all. Not at all. Your mind may create an illusion that it does, but in real life scenario, real life, it doesn't. Because if it mattered, then nobody would ever be anything other than who they were as a child. Like, I would not be on YouTube, because if I was like, well, I didn't have a YouTube channel yesterday, so why would I start one today? Like, that will hold you back for the rest of your life if you keep operating based on what was, because you're actively creating, right? So Joe Dispenza says, if you're not being ran by a vision you have of yourself for the future, you're being controlled by the memories of the past. So either you are operating based on what you want to happen, which would include you thinking favorably, or you're operating based on what did happen, which will include you thinking unfavorably. So then you decide, well, if those are my two options, which one, number one, moves me closer to what I want, which one feels better, and which one should I be doing? And then you do that. What manifestation techniques do you recommend? Okay, so inner conversations, affirmations are cute, visuals, affirmation tapes. What else? Scripting's cute if you like that. What else? There's so many, y'all. I feel like those are like staples, like mirror work, but those are like just different variations of affs. Yeah. Stats. If people have a negative opinion on of you, is that their story of you or yours of you? It could be the story that you have that they have of you, but if wondering if it's your story of you is, do you accept it as true? Then that's your story of you. But if you don't think it's true about you, then it's either you just saying, like sometimes something will happen one time, like Rod said, and then a lot of people will like absorb it instead of observe it. Like, instead of being like, they're weird, that's not true, move on, they're like, damn, like, why do they think this about me? Why do they think this about me? So now they have no choice but to always think that about you. So then it becomes your story of them. So if it's a multiple time thing, you're like, oh, I've heard this person multiple times say this about me, versus if it's like, I've heard them say it once, but it's still your story, then that's your story of them. It's not really delusion, it's just changing the mindset. That's the person. Are you financially free? I would say more than my peers. Like, I know I'm able to go anywhere in the world, like any city, like travel by myself, and like, I know I have my own car. Like, I'd say more than people around me, but I'm not where I want to be for this lifetime, I would say. So it's a constant, it's a gradual thing. But I'm very grateful for like the things I have the ability to do, and like I'm able to recognize that, I'm able to do more than a lot of people in this day and age. So grateful. Oh my god, wait, I just went to the bottom by accident. Oh my god, hi Tori. I just went to the bottom. Whatever. Okay. So she said affirmations for good health. Okay. I am the healthiest person ever. My health is amazing. My doctors are saying my health is amazing. I feel so much better. I wake up healthier and healthier every day. What else, girl? My body is always healing itself. My body heals itself so fast and so quickly. I'm pain-free. XYZ. It's saying back and forth. Oh, it's saying back and forth. I'm having SP by summer, and I have him now considered wavering. Um, well, it depends. When you say, when you say, I'm having him by summer, like, what do you start operating as? Meaning, like, if you're like, okay, I'm having SP by summer, um, is it like when you operate, are you kind of like, okay, well, okay, that's May, that's June, and you're like, okay, he's not here now, but like by summer, June, July, he's gonna come, and then whatever, or is it like what's your vibe with that? And then when you're saying I have it now, are you in a different vibe than when you say I have him summer? If you're like, oh, I have him now, are you like literally right now? Right now, that's my man. Right now, he's receiving my thoughts. And also, it's like, why are you pushing it out that far as well? It's like, what resistance do you have about saying you have it now? Do you not think you can have it now? So you say summer because it's more realistic to you? Because summer's going to come only right now. You can only experience summer in the present moment. So you think it's in the future, but you're ever only going to experience it now, and you're going to be in the same predicament now. That's why time doesn't exist, because you're only ever experiencing right now. So whether it's April or August, it's the same time right now. So let me know. I'm operating from fear. I'm saying summer because it seems more realistic. I know. That's why I said that. Anytime somebody says, I will, and then they have it like, oh, this time, I'm like, it's because you're scared too. Except you can have it now. You don't think you can have it now. All right? I already know, Brie. I'm not new to this. I'm true to this. I did clock you. I already know. I can see your guys' patterns from a mile away. So that's what I'm saying, because people put it on this timeline like, oh, well, 3 months, like, I think I have, because that's separation. You're like, well, and that's also you not thinking you control 3D, because people will be like, oh, I'll have it in, like, July, and then they won't do no type of, like, inner changing the stories, changing them, and then it comes faster than you expect, and then it happens right now, and you're still the same person. You're still gonna be in the same place. So however you feel right now is exactly how you're gonna feel in the summertime. So if you're still the same person, so don't be scared to have it now. If you want it right now, say you have it right now. But and then every time you try to go back to the summer, you remember, you clock yourself. You remember, like, I'm doing this because I don't think I can actually have it. And then you already know what to do. You're here all the time, Bree. So it's really you have to work in order to go what is it? In order to get through it, you have to go through it. Like, you have to, because you're fearing yourself. So, we're gonna be like, you have to explore that. Like, what am I afraid of? This person is not higher than me. If I want him to conform now, then he's conforming now because I said so. You know what I mean? Don't don't put him out here. Thanks for following me, Ashley. Okay. Can you give tips on staying in the state? I get upset at myself for forgetting about my manifestations. Forgetting about? You mean not thinking about them 24/7? You don't have to force yourself to think about it. Like, I feel like how much you think about manifestation is how much, like, you want that thing, in the sense that, like, some things, like, some people think about their SPs all the time because they really want them, like, a lot. And then some people with, like, oh, I want to manifest, like, I don't know, like going on vacation, right? Somewhere, it's like they don't necessarily need to be there next week, so they don't think about it as much. So I feel like I don't know why you'd be upset with yourself. Like, never be upset with yourself about anything. But it's like, it's really about, you think about it, to me, how much it's like to you. So if it's not, then it's not. And then the state is just when you do think about it, right? Because like I said, like, even when you're in a relationship, or even when you are, want to travel somewhere, it's like, that's not your only identity. That's not your only state in your life, isn't being with the person. Like, if you really were regularly, you want to be thinking about it. Like, if you have plans with your friends, then you're going to think about your friends, for that day, right? And it's not going to be your SP the whole time. So it's like, a state is really about when you're thinking about that thing in the present moment. What are, like, where, oh my God, hold on. Okay. Where are you mentally with that thing? You know what I mean? So it's not so much about forcing yourself to think about it. It's more just when you do. Because like I said, you only think about it based on how urgent it is to you. But regardless, it doesn't matter if you think about it once a week or every day. It's like when you do, where are you in relation to that? Where's your, like, where are you? So, and then, if you're not where you want to be, then whatchamacallit, that's when you do the new story, reinforce it, have your game plan to get back into that identity of yours. So whether it's techniques, whether it's visualizing, whether it's reminding yourself, like, they're just me pushed out, this thing is just my story of it, whatever it is. But yeah. Is the mastering the paradox key in manifesting? Mastering what? Yourself or manifesting in general, or what? What are we mastering? Thanks for following me, random person. Manifesting makes me so happy. I have to scream, but I'm in public. I'm glad you feel like that. It should make you feel like that. Because it's just existing. Like, it's just being. Like, you're already manifesting because you're already having stories and thoughts and just being. But, yeah. How to deal with unwanted thoughts. By realizing you're not the thinker of your unwanted thoughts, you're the observer. Because we have 60 to 80,000 thoughts a day, but consciously you're probably thinking about like a couple 2,000 or so. So it's like a lot of them are just going to be, and also 95% of the thoughts you had yesterday, or of the thoughts you have today, 95% of them are the ones you had yesterday. So already that's why like 95% of them, of 70,000, I think that's 66,500, something around there. That's why I said it's only about a couple of thousand that you're actually thinking consciously. So if most of them are just ones that you had yesterday, that's why we're always changing them every day, is because most of them are just going to be like unconscious. So it's like that's when you become the observer. When you're not consciously thinking them, you become the observer. So basically that just means like when you have an unwanted thought, you just decide like, do I want this to be true? And if the answer is no, then we're like, all right, that's not true. Like, I'm not thinking that, right? So I don't know a single person who doesn't get an unwanted thought, whether it's 1 or 100, they get them. So it's like when they get them, it doesn't mean that, it doesn't mean that it's the end of the world. They're just like, and then they either reinforce a different one or they just, they're solid. So they're like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know who she is. Like every single person, right? Like your faves, right? Beyonce, Rihanna, all of them. I'm sure Rihanna has had thoughts that's like, well, I haven't made music in 8 years. Like, what if I come back and I can't reach like the charts again? Or like, what if I put out, or like Beyonce with the country? I'm sure she was like, what if people don't like it? Like, what if I don't get the streams on it? But it's not like, obviously that didn't happen. So it's like, you're just the observer. You just observe them, but you don't absorb them. You just observe it and you're like, all right, that's not helping me, so I'm not going to accept that. Yes, I've been here since the start. Thank you so much. You're welcome. Just woke up and automatically started thinking from the news story. Isn't that such a good feeling? You're impressed. You are impressed. I love that feeling. Like just waking up and your mind's automatically like, oh, yep, remember you're in control. Remember you're abundant. Like, yes. I was happy making a vision board this morning and feeling myself, then spiraled. Spiraled about what? About what? Like, what is the problem? And sometimes a spiral isn't, I don't even know who made those things like a big deal. Like, it's just calming down and bringing yourself back and then continuing with what you were doing. Like, it's not a big deal. It's just like, you're never messing up. Like, you never mess anything up. So you're always moving towards it regardless. But yeah, do you believe in divine timing? I believe divine timing is the timing we each think something takes. Like, everybody thinks something takes a different amount of time. Like, some people, like Bree, I gotta call you out real quick, but Bree's like, oh, I don't think I can have it. But I think in my mind illusion that in summertime I'll have it. So that's Bree's divine timing. It's going to take 3 to 5 months for my SP to come in. Versus people who are actively saying I have them now, they're like, I can have it way sooner than that. So it would come in differently for both of them, but it's just more because that's how long they think it takes, not because something else outside of them. There is no outside of you. It's just however long you think, because it's your assumptions, however long you think it's going to take is how long it's going to take. So yeah. How do I ignore 3D at all times? By realizing it's all illusionary. If you're tunnel vision towards what you want, then nothing's permanent. I think you guys, I don't think it's so much you guys have a problem ignoring it. It's just you guys like absorb it. Like I said, it's the same with the thoughts, because 3D is just thoughts materialized, but it's the same thing with the thoughts. Like you can observe it, but you don't have to absorb it. Like you are allowed to exist with, when I was talking about the stain on your shirt, it's like you're allowed to observe it, but it's like if you knew you had a washer and dryer at home and you know the stain isn't permanent, then you're not going to feel like it's the end of the world. Like you just ignore it because you're like, well, there's nothing, well, it's already materialized, right? The stain's already there, but it's also not permanent, and this is just like a moment in time. But I'm moving out of it, right? I'm going to be home in an hour. I'm going to be home in 30 minutes, 20. Then it turns into 10. Then it turns into right now. Thank you for the rose, random person. Right now, I'm home and I can get out of this circumstance, right? Like it's always moving and it's never permanent. And also, just observe it without, you're also observing your reaction to it. Like, all right, how do I feel about it? All right, I'm chill. Then I've transcended this 3D. And if I transcended it, then I can't be in it. I can't be in something that I don't even resonate with, right? Like, it's when people just know, like, oh, I'm not meant to be at this job, like, right? And then they're not anymore. It's like when you've outgrown an environment, you're not going to stay. Like, it's just not possible. You have to, like, something's going to happen when you have to leave it. Like, whatchamacallit? Yeah, that happened to somebody else coaching. They were like, I don't like this job, but, like, I can't bring myself to leave. And then, like, literally whoa. Okay. And then literally the next week, they were like, something happened and like I just can't stay here anymore, because that just like snapped me into like I'm supposed to get better than this. And then they messaged me like last week and they're like, oh my god, I got a better job and it pays way better. And I was like, oh, congrats. What do I do in the moments everything with SP is mentally affecting me and I miss them a lot and it's hard to ignore it and not dwell? Everything with SP is mentally affecting me. Well, what is everything? Is everything like what happened? Or you mean like you're just in a state of separation? Also, so like what is affecting you? Because then because you have to transcend that, because nothing should be like you're in this present moment. So when you are here, you're not in the past and you're not in like a future that you're perceiving unfavorably, then you have mental freedom, because mental like bondage is being stuck in the past or being stuck in a future that you're perceiving as unfavorable. And then, okay, I miss them and it's hard for me to ignore and not dwell. Okay, then say that those are the feelings they have for you as well. Like, why is everything, when a lot for the people who are manifesting SPs, like, why do you feel like everything's one-sided? Especially if they are you, like if they're reflecting you, if they are you pushed out, thought transmission, all of that. Like, there's not one principle that with SPs where it's like you're not connected. Like, it's gonna feel hard, or it's gonna feel like you're gonna feel like this if you feel everything's one-sided, like, oh, I miss them but they don't, or I want them here but they're not. It's like, then have that same thought process, like this is how they feel times 10, because then it'll be easy, because the only thing is your story is about being in separation. So it's like, if that's your story where it's like, okay, they miss me so much as well, right? Then you're able to think, well, okay, if they miss me, then that means they're doing this, like they're reaching out, we're together, like whatever. So it's turning that into a shared experience because you are connected to them. Listening to her live gives me so much motivation to clean because I've been procrastinating all day. I'm glad. Can you please help with focusing on time? Um, well, okay. Well, there's either talking about how long it's been or how long it's taking, or not knowing how long it's taking, and that's freaking you out. Well, how long it takes is, like I said to whoever asked about divine timing, is how long you think it's going to take. Like, how long it takes is how long it takes you to become a different version of you, for you to accept your truth, that you're the operant power and that you can have what you want. So it's really like, how long is it taking you to accept that? Accepting that it's already done or it's here doesn't mean, oh, it's not, but I'm going to act like it is. It means the only 3D is what I've selected. So as long as I'm selecting something else, 3D can't exist. Because for me to move at the same pace as my 3D, meaning 3D isn't this, or 3D isn't what I want, so I'm going to make that my identity, you're moving at turtle speed. You're not moving, because you're moving the same as 3D, but 3D is your thoughts. So you're thinking your old thoughts, so you're going to be stuck in an old reality, which is why a lot of you guys are stuck in the same loop. So how long is it going to take you to get out of that loop? Time for you guys, it's like, oh, how long is it going to take for it to materialize? Well, is it materialized in your mind? And then on top of that, it's like you're also deciding, in the sense that, like, again, how long do you think it has to take for it to materialize as well? Like, do you think a lot of you guys, again, operate separately? Well, I think it, I do this, I do the visualizations, I do the scripting, but this, but that, that's still separation. You're saying all that I'm doing is good for nothing because it's not moving. Then that's your story. Again, how long will it take to you to change that mindset? It feels so good and freeing to wake up knowing I have what I want. Period. Like, I need an extension on an essay. So I was manifesting my teacher not being in, and she was in. Okay, Liana, DM me on Insta. Okay, in fact, in school, and asked about it. As long story short, I got an extension on the deadline anyways. That's good then. Then you manifested that. Thank you for the rose, Nevaeh. That's good. See? So you were stressing about nothing. Who's your favorite artist? Music? Or, wait, but you said, but I thought it was odd. Why would you think getting what you want was odd? See, this is the problem. Why would you think it was odd? What's odd about you getting what you want? Exactly, guys. This is why I said you have to normalize it. This is why it's like, oh, like, what's your craziest thing you've had? Like, it's like, it can't be like that. It has to be normalized, because when it's odd, it's like, this is not, I'm trying, like, I wanted this, but I'm going to reject it because why did I get what I want? Again, it's also like, you have to see, like, manifestation, like, it's just existing. Like, it literally is. Like, who am I being? Do I have it? Yes or no? Yes? Okay, period. Like, it can't be, like, something I'm trying to make happen, because it's like trying to make yourself breathe. Like, you're doing it. You're doing it unconsciously most of the time, but you're still doing it. And to consciously do it doesn't make it harder. It's not harder to take a conscious breath than it is unconsciously to do it. So, same type of vibe. Okay, favorite artist. Do you mean music or artwork? I'm assuming you mean music, but I just want to be clear. Music. I don't think I have do I have an all-time? I don't think I have an all-time, but I think, like, categories I can name it, because I like a lot of different genres. Okay, so, like, I feel like rap, I like artists I listen to the most, been to his concert, like, love him. I love Drake. Pop, I guess she's a pop star. Bad gal, I love Rihanna. R&B, that's a little harder, because that's, like, my favorite genre, so it's like, that's harder. I love Janae. I would like to go to a concert. My friend asked, but then she's like, oh, I don't know anymore. But I don't know. But I think I love Janae. Summer's cute too. I think probably Janae as far as girls. Boys, I feel like I listen to Bryson the most. I don't know. I feel like I listen to Bryson out of all boys. I like Usher too. Yeah, it's probably for each category. Can I manifest changing the past? It's what you guys believe you can. So, if you think you can, then yeah. Like I said, it's whatever is normalized to you. Because if it's normal to your mind, if it's normal to you, then you won't question it. and you won't push it away because you won't feel like it's odd to have it. You'll be like, yeah, I knew that. I knew SP had to come to me. The old story, but mainly just not having SP and wanting to receive what I've been affirming for a year. Well, sounds like you were affirming to change SP, which is contradictory to them being a reflection of your stories. It's always changing your stories, changing your mindset. This whole game is just, again, what is normal to my mind? If it's not normalized, so that's why I said that, because it's like, if it's not normalized, if you're like, oh, SP isn't this way, but you're like, okay, I want to say this to change them, but then it's not normal to you, even if it came in, there's too many people that do that. They can come in and then they push him out because, like, wasn't Liana? They're like, this is odd, like, this is weird, like, they're not supposed to be in. I didn't think it was actually gonna happen. That's why it's like, it has to be normal to you. So you let me know. Okay, love you, bunny. Music. Okay, I thought so because we were talking about you meeting Tinashe on Friday. I was like, you're probably talking about music. All right. It's not getting what I want that was odd. It's the fact that I wanted the teacher not in, but she was still in. I got what I wanted anyway, so it really doesn't matter. But I'm confused why she was in when maybe I focused too much on the how instead of the end result. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. But, like, I always say that too. Like, I always say at the end of the day, because some people would be in that situation, like you, and they would be like, well, why is she here when I said she wasn't, and it's not working? And it's like, well, at the end of the day, if what you want, whether she was here or not, was that end result, like, then focus on that. That's why I always make people go to the end, because it's like, things like that, like, I'm glad you still got it regardless, but it's like, I wouldn't want you to, like, not get it, or not get it, but, like, if you saw her in and then you went to the story where it's like, well, part one of it, my manifestation didn't work, so I'm not getting part two, and I'm like, well, that's not how it works. And at the end of the day, like you said, oh my god, thank you, bunny. And at the end of the day, like you said, if you wouldn't care regardless, then it should be what you want. Thank you, girl. Can you explain revision? Do I need to get into that state, or can I also just daydream? Well, revision, how I explain it, okay. There's multiple different ways. So the way Noel says, like, how he does it is, like, when he goes to sleep, he just, like, visualizes. Well, he's like, okay, I do the whole day, but I do it backwards, and then whatever I wanted to change, I would see it changed, and then whatever. So I'd fall asleep to that change, right? For me, I think I would just say, like, something's always been that way. So if I wanted to revise, like, a whole behavior, right, of a person, like, if I wanted my SB to be completely different, I'd be like, well, he's always been the way I want him to be. Like, he's always been this, he's always been that. Or, like, if I wanted to revise, like, a specific argument, I'll be like, well, we've been good all day. Like, we were always good. Like, we never had the argument, whatever. Do you just get in the state, or can I also just daydream? So you can daydream if that works for you, like, however you need to do it, but it's basically just, like, that's what it is. I mean, for revision, like, if I do it, I do it one time, because revision is the past. So it's like, you can't, well, depending, like, if it's like, but at the same time, that's why it's like, so, I guess it's kind of like a paradox to me. That's why I never do it, because to me, it's like, the past doesn't matter to me. Like, whether I had an argument with my SP and whatever, it doesn't matter, because if I want to be with them, then I'm going to be with them regardless. But it's like, regardless, I feel like people revise because they feel like it'll, I think it's like a mental thing, like a mental, like, oh, if I know it's revised, then I'll feel better about, like, whatever happens next. But it's like, you're essentially revising so that your future is different. Like, you feel better about this future outcome. Like, you're like, oh, well, if the fight never happened, then they'll still be in love with me. But, like, at the same time, like I said, like, for me, I don't think about it like that, because regardless of what does happen or doesn't happen, it's dead and gone. The only thing that keeps it alive is me thinking about it. So, like, for me, it's like, that's why it's so paradoxical to me, because it's like, I was about to say, oh, well, if you revise, then, like, this has to happen, but it's also like, it would have happened regardless. I don't know. But yeah, that's my whole thing, is like, if you daydream, then You can do it like that. There's like no one way to do it, but I'm more of a person that does it once. Well, I was saying because like I do it once because it's like for most things, if you're doing it just for a past change, just because you want the future to be a certain way, it's like, well, you can't go back to the past to experience it. It's just done, and then your future will happen in terms of that event being what you wanted it to be. Does that make sense? I hope that made sense. Hi, friend. Okay, let me go back up. Wait. Okay. Yeah. What are your thoughts on global events, war, COVID, etc., through the lens of manifestation? Well, in what aspect you think of? Do you mean like what I think causes things, or like what I think about changing them? What do I think about like the people who do, like do those things, and like I don't know what you mean. I think on like on a global scale, like a lot of people are like, well, like whenever people bring up manifesting with that type of stuff, they're like, well, it'd have to be like a collective consciousness thing. I don't believe that, because you're only experiencing your own reality. Like I remember during COVID, oh my God, everybody was so negative. Like I remember I remember when we were wearing masks, right? And I was running this club at the time. Like it was like a spiritual thing. It's like it was like mid 2021. I made her wear masks and stuff, whatever. And we were going around, we were having like an end of the session discussion. And somebody just asked the whole group, they were like, oh, like, do you guys think we're ever gonna go back to not wearing masks? And at that point, it had only been like a year. And most of it was quarantine anyway. So, and the one girl, I remember the one girl in my group, she was like, no, like, I think it's gonna be like this forever. And I was like, I was like, is everybody serious right now? Like, I don't know. Like, people are so like one track minded in the sense that it's um, just. I mean, obviously, she didn't know. It wasn't like a law of assumption thing. It was just like, like we were doing like meditation, breath work. It was that type of thing. It wasn't like manifestation. But I was just like I don't know. Like people. That's when I didn't know about law of assumption at that time, but I was still in my head like people are so like, it's like if they're in a circumstance, they're like, that's it, like life is just this bad thing. I was like, are you kidding me? Like people don't see progression. Like, and obviously it's like, that's why I said it's individual, like it's a subconcept issue, because it's like a year ago we were locked in our houses. Now then it was mass, but then it was like only essential building was open. Now we're able to meet again, but we have to wear masks. Like it's literally progressing in front of your eyes, and you're saying like it's never gonna get better. And then a year from that, which was 2022, it's like it was back to normal. But I always knew that would happen, because I was like, you really think like, especially the US, like they're not gonna let this be our life. Like they're like it's just not, it's not normal. And I knew that. So it's like I didn't need everybody in that room to be like, oh yes, like COVID's gonna end and we're gonna get up, we're not gonna be quarantined, we don't have to sit 6 feet apart. Like I knew that for myself. I knew, at least in my reality. I don't really care maybe in her reality, COVID, whatever. But I was like, in my reality, like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, there is no way. She was like, oh, it's gonna be like this, like, for like 10 years. I was like, at this level of technology and advancement, it's just not possible. Like, I don't know. So I think it's like an individual thing. Like, whatever you're paying attention to, whatever you believe, it's like either you'll conform to that circumstance or you'll transcend it. And I don't think I need the whole world to like agree with me that, we weren't going to be stuck in mass, right? I knew that for myself, and that was enough, because I was like, and it happened fast. I was like, girl, whatever. I don't know. But that's what I think about in terms of whatever. Wait, yeah, but for example, we can't manifest something like that away, can we? We can just manifest a reality. I don't know what you mean, because it's like not, I mean, I saw something earlier where it's like people were getting it, but not in front of my face. So that's only like me imagining it, because I haven't seen anybody get it since 2022. So it's like gone. But again, you're asking me, we can't, it's what you believe at the end of the day. But for me, it's like, I think we can, because that literally happened. Like, same thing with everything else. Like, no wars like last. Like with World War II, for example, it's like, I'm sure there were people at that time were like, there's no way this is going to be our lives, right, for like the rest of the time. And then there are people like, well, this is going to be how the world is forever. And it's just not like that anymore. So I don't think there's nothing that's permanent to me, especially something that's unfavorable or like a bad circumstance, because yeah, I listened to you, and my God, SP is forcing me to meet him. He's being kind. Congrats, Celine. Congrats, girl. I'm glad you listened. How to stay motivated to manifest? Well, realize you're already doing it. It's literally just whatever area you guys want to manifest or change. You're already having a story about it, especially if it's something you're changing. You're like, oh, this is my appearance, but I want to change it. It's like you're already oh, hold on, guys, hold on. Okay, you're already whatchamacallit, you already have a story about that thing. So the only thing you're doing is changing it. So I feel like a lot of people get motivated because it's like, oh, this whole process, and like, how am I going to get from point A to point B? It's like, it's just a jump in your thoughts. That's a quantum jump. It's a jump in your thoughts. And then on top of that, it's like, well, again, and it's also, what is manifestation to you? Like, is it really being able to have, be, and do whatever you want? If that's you, then that should motivate you times a million. Like, you've seen people do it. Like, Celine literally just said she got her SP. He's begging her to meet. He wasn't doing that when she came to me. So, obviously, you know what I mean? Like, it's all around you, especially if you're in this community. Like, you're seeing people do it, and nobody's different from you. Like, I'm not better than you. She's not better than you. Like, it's a part of life. That's why I said it's literally just a part of life. So it should motivate you that you can have, be, and do what you want. And then it's like, with that information, what do you choose to do with it? Like, that's one of the things that keep me motivated, is like, there's only like a handful of people who know. Like, the most subscribed person, like the most subscribed coach is like, they're in like the 100,000 something, which is not a lot of people at all compared to like people who have like millions of followers, or like, you know, billions of views or whatever. It's like, it's not a lot. So it's like, it's a very few, not even, it's probably like a bigger, not even a big city. It's like probably like a medium-sized city, like a small population basically of people who know. So I'm like, well, there's a reason why I was chosen to know. You know what I mean? And then obviously it can be easy to like forget that when you're around people who don't know, and they're like spewing negative mindsets, because people are like, oh, what if my family is saying this? Like, what if my friends say this? It's like, well, they don't know, because if they did, they would they would take with the information and change their life. You know what I mean? So I always think about like that. Like, I found this stuff for a reason. And it's because I'm meant to live my best life. I'm supposed to live the life that I want. So, yeah. Yeah. Okay, sorry. Wanting a job that pays well at the moment, but I also want a lot of money in this lifetime. How do I affirm this? By saying that. Okay, dream job. Girl, catch up on my vids on my YouTube. But, alright, so I'm having a job, doing what I want, doing what I love. One thing I said before I even knew, like, anything, like, what I wanted to do, I was like, I get paid doing what I love. I get paid, like, what's that one Neville affirmation? I saw it yesterday on my For You. It's like, basically, he's like, I get paid a steady income that's always increasing, whatever, it's dependable. I have a dependable income that's always increasing. I have lots of disposable income. And, you know, I have more money than I need in this lifetime. Money comes to me all the time. You know, vibe. Like, just say exactly what you want to experience. Just start saying that. Yeah. Manifesting my SP I've never talked to. Is manifesting to the end okay? Relationship. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. I'm going to change the story from money as I did SP. Exactly. It's the same process, Lean. Ever since you come live, you've changed my love life. My love. My love. My love, literally. I'm glad. I'm glad. Okay. Um, Somebody said, how do I get rid of the resentment that I had for SP? I was saying this earlier. I forget who asked the question, but basically, it's understanding that whatever whatever you experience, whatever you experienced with this old SP is matching, your stories you had of them. So like if you have the stories that's like, or of your dynamic. So if you have the story that's like, oh, like we're always arguing, like he always does this, he doesn't treat me well, then he reflected that, and that you were like, that makes sense about the conception I have of our relationship, him and me, right? So it's like that was the version of you that matched that reality. So if you're receiving a completely different version of your specific person, it's because you're a version of you that matches that reality. It means you know what you deserve. You know that you're not supposed to get treated like that. You know that you're not going to. You know that that's not normal, etc., etc., etc. So if that's you, and if the world is a mirror and SP is you pushed out, then you cannot receive, or if you are a better version, then you can only receive the better version of him. So it's completely okay to be angry at the old version of him, because it was just the old version of you that was receiving it. So, but it's also knowing that that's not the version of him that you're going to receive, because the old SP showed you that he was clearly not capable of treating you how you deserve. So basically, if you're not the version of you that is okay with settling for that, then you're not going to receive that SP. So it's like two different versions, because you're two different versions of yourself. So if you're a different version of yourself completely, then SP is a completely different version of himself. So it's like, it's basically the same as being mad at the old version of you. If you want to be mad at the old version of you, that's fine. But it's understanding that, you're no longer that old version, so there's nothing to really be mad of. Okay, I'm gonna answer a few more. And I totally agree. Holding ourselves to our limitations or deciding what happens because of 3D is the opposite of what we should be doing for real. Exactly. Do you just ever get into the state of being and no longer need to do anything more, or affirming? Yes, like the Sabbath state, basically feeling like I've done everything I need to do and I know this to be a fact and I know this is my reality now and I really don't even feel the need to affirm. I don't even want to. Yes, I think that's a beautiful state, and I think that's the result of, doing the work, like doing your impressions and recognizing who you are. You don't feel the need to keep, because there's nothing else to do. Like I said, the only thing the techniques were ever doing anyways was reinforcing it. But if it's reinforced to you and you just know it to be your truth, the same way you know that you're broke without having to say it all the time, it's just a normal part of your life, it's just an expectation, then that's perfect. That's where you should be. Okay. Zena said, how can I manifest this place I'm looking at despite money, credit issues, have to move in ASAP? Well, first of all, it's the only main story that you have is that you're moving in, or you've moved in. Like the place is yours. It's secured in the bag, period. Now, the only thing you're doing is bridging the gap between this current version of you and the version of you who was moved in. So you got to start, first of all, when it comes to anything, applying for anything, I don't care if it's a place, I don't care if it's a school, I don't care if it's a job, like, there are no requirements when it comes to you. Like, it doesn't matter if you had $5 and a bag of chips. Like, they'll take it because it's you. You know what I mean? Like, as the opera in power, the answer is always yes to you. The answer is always yes. Start saying that. The answer is always yes. When it comes to me, the answer is always yes. And again, it's those things matter as much as you say they matter. So how much do you want? Number one, want them to matter. And number two, should they matter in your reality? The answer is this much. And then from there, it's like, again, you're bridging the gap between the two different identities of you. So in order to jump to that reality, you have to make a quantum jump, a leap in your mind, right? jump to that identity. So every time you think of this, stop calling it issues. When it comes to you, the answer is yes. But every time you think of this reality, that's what we're focusing on. Is it thank you, bunny? Is it okay? Are you able to like, okay, yes, it's mine, it's my place, I'm good, we're good? Or do you still have these doubts? Thank you, Nevaeh. Is it still, I have these doubts, I have these doubts. So, and if the answer is the latter, then you're changing those stories. Because like I said, the answer is always yes when it comes to you. There are no requirements. When they see you, whatever, I don't desire to be at this place desires me. XYZ, like, I have the place. How to act as if and affirm while in a toxic environment. I would say getting as much of your own space as you can, or utilizing the space that you have, like when you're by yourself, like whether it's in the shower, whether it's, I don't know if the toxic environment is like work or home or school, but like whichever one it's not, and you're at that second place, when you're at that second place, you're taking the time to be in the end. And then also, I would also affirm for like my environment as well, like that it's changing, that it's getting better and better every day, that I'm being more respected, XYZ. Best way to manifest a home: visualizing. You can visualize, yeah, if that works for you. It's about best way, well, I should say best techniques is whatever works best for you and whatever makes you feel like, yes. Okay. All right, I'm gonna answer like one or two more. Okay, so how to get started with the law? Pretty basically, find out about law of attraction 2020, and then find out about law of assumption end of 2021 into 2022. And it was basically just, I already knew about law of attraction, so then I had gotten to like law of attraction coaches and like videos and stuff, and then I had followed this one like just general like spiritual like creator, which who like talked about different laws, like they talked about law of attraction, law of detachment, law of vibration stuff, but like they made a video about law of assumption, which I had never heard of at that point, and it was about like a specific person, and they were like, change stories about yourself, change stories about the person. So I did that because we were in no contact for like a few months, and I did that, and then I manifested them in a few days, and that was like the fastest I ever manifested anything, obviously, because law of attraction, it wasn't like that at all. And then I was like, oh my god, this works. And then I just did it with different things. Like I did it with a lot of things. I did it with the weather, did it with my car, like I did it with a lot of things, and I was like, oh my god. And yeah, then I did it with my YouTube channel. Like I did it with literally everything. I was like, oh yeah. Okay. It just seems a bit long. Do I need to consciously affirm more? Because for the other manifestation, I think of it once or twice in my favor and it comes fast. I was just about to say, I don't think that's the answer. First of all, your mindset should always be whatever I'm doing enough, right? Thank you, Bunny. Whatever I'm doing enough of it. Never assume that you're doing less than you need to. But also, I think it's also a conception of self-issue. Like, because with the things that you just think about once or twice and it manifests fast for you, you're not having these thoughts, or you're not in this identity of like, I'm having trouble. So I think it's always remembering that like, you're always on the right path. It's the same thing. Like, what are the other things that you do really fast? It's the same exact thing for this thing that you want. So I think it's like the focus when you are affirming, if you are, make it put the focus back on self. And then if you are affirming for the thing, it's always to do it to influence yourself, because you're the only person you're convincing, right? Like, we're not convincing circumstances, we're not convincing people, we're convincing ourselves that we have this thing. So yeah, anyways, guys, it's been lovely talking to y'all. I don't know when during the week I'll be back on, but podcast should be out right now. I can't check it right now, but it should be out. And then a video will be out this week on YouTube, and then obviously TikToks throughout the week. You're welcome. Thank you, Bunny. But Spotify, yes. It should be, unless it's not. I'll check. Anyways, but yeah, thank y'all. Love y'all so much. Have a beautiful, beautiful Sunday. The link's in my TikTok, but it's the Manifesting Gaia podcast. So yeah. Thank you, Bunny.